Welcome everyone to our webinar this evening on Say It, Hear It, the power of effective communication. Hello, my name is Wendy Spurgeon and I am the creator of the Way of Truth Sacred Journey Portal and your facilitator for this evening's webinar. And I'm super excited to be talking with you today. Supporting us with slides is the lovely, talented Shelley Chase, writer and life happiness coach. In this training, you're going to explore several key points about communication and the challenges of communicating effectively. There are two very important components that make up communication. Part one is about the messages you send. This part of the training covers the multi-layered structure of our communications and simultaneous messages you may not realize you were sending. The difficulty we sometimes have connecting with others and how important it is to follow up and make sure that what you really wanted to say was effectively communicated. The need to measure your communication effectiveness by continually assessing your communication skill level. And part two of the training is about the messages you receive from others. And in this part, we'll cover how you use the skill of listening and how this skill determines what you actually hear. How you can assess your current skill level when it comes to listening. And how you can immediately improve your listening skills by listening with care, a helpful tool to have and use during any conversation with someone else. So, and I'll be referring to the different parts of the training as modules, and there's 8 in total, but they're very tight and succinct. So starting, module 1 starts by conducting a communication experiment. Communication is critical to positive relationships, whether in business or our personal lives. Effective communication skills are vital for us to live a fulfilling life because we are continuously interacting with others, giving and receiving messages. But despite the importance of communicating effectively, communication skills are a very misunderstood area of human behavior and one of the most challenging skills to successfully use. So now's the perfect time to take out worksheet number 1, which you received, you printed out with your registration. It's called Draw What You Say. Now I'm going to share the directions for drawing an image. And then what you want to do is draw the image as described. And we're going to give you a clue. You will be drawing an animal. Okay, so on your worksheet, do the following. I'm going to give a little silence in between each thing. So first, draw a head. And then when you've drawn the head, add eyes to the head. And then when you're complete with the eyes, add a mouth. Add some pointy ears. And then add some whiskers. Draw an oval body. And then draw a long curly tail. Draw 4 legs. And then draw 4 paws. And now we're going to debrief that exercise. So what did you get? What animal did you draw? Holly, what'd you get?
I must confess, this is Shelley, that I didn't do it because I had already seen it, so it wasn't fair.
Right. Me too. I already knew. So, Holly, if you get a...
Oh, okay, so here's the funny part. I didn't read it,
Right.
but when you said, I'll give you a hint, it's going to be an animal, I just started drawing a cat. And I can't show it to you, but my cat is sitting.
Oh.
And so it's looking straight on at it, and it's really pretty good. It was funny doing the legs, and he's got a gargantuan tail, but yeah.
Well, you know, I think you're highly intuitive. I mean, like, you know, the questions I was going to pose were, you know, what prevented us from creating the exact drawing? You know, I think there's a lot of animals that have heads and eyes and mouths and pointy ears and whiskers and oval bodies and curly tails and 4 legs and 4 paws, right? So, you know, a lack of clarity perhaps might have prevented us from creating the exact drawing. And, you know, the second question I was going to ask is, you know, how does this activity relate to the topic of communication? Any thoughts about that? I have some thoughts, but I want to...
Well, why don't you just go for it then?
Well, see, I think this has to do, this relates to the topic of communication because it was, you know, it was one-sided there, and there wasn't the opportunity for clarifying questions, right, to get the animal right. So that in an effect, you know, so it wasn't reciprocal. It wasn't a reciprocal communication. That might have prevented us from, you know, getting clarity, you know, getting a little closer to drawing the right animal. Because excellent communication is the ability to send a message to somebody else and have that message be accurately received, right? So if it was one-sided, like this conversation was, then there wasn't, you know, an opportunity to gauge if that message was accurately received. And unfortunately, often the receiver of a message hears and understands something different than what the sender was trying to communicate. This makes communication very susceptible to misunderstandings and conflict. We therefore must accept the challenge and responsibility that comes with effectively communicating with those around us. And it's not as easy as it seems on the surface. So now we're going to move to Module 2. Communication can be defined as the need to impart thoughts, opinions, or information by speech or writing to others. Yet despite this need, it's difficult to truly express what you see, think, and feel because you are communicating from your unique perspectives as an individual. As George Bernard Shaw once said, the problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. That's because communication involves both the sharing of information and the receiving of information. Between these two ends, many messages, not just one, are being sent and received. So in this module, you'll look further at communication by exploring a conceptual model that helps to show its multi-layered intricacies. That's a good word. So let's take out worksheet number 2, the 4 sides of communication. As you can see from this representation of communication by German psychologist and interpersonal communication expert Friedemann Schultz von Thun, the messages you are sending and receiving are comprised of 4 sides. So I'm going to share the overview of the 4 sides of communication on worksheet number 2. And as I do, underline or highlight on your worksheet the key points that resonate with you most. So the top side is the facts. This is the information, facts, or data being conveyed. This top side of a message contains some kind of information, facts, or data you're trying to convey to someone else. This is the part of a message that is most apparent through your verbal signals. Now, the second side equals self-revelation. This is what the sender is saying about him or herself. In addition to factual information, every message also contains information about the sender. The sender is always giving away something about him or herself. This second side of a message gives hints about what is going on inside the sender, such as how he sees himself or how he would like to be seen by others. This may occur in an explicit or implicit way, and usually it is implicit in the form of unintended self-disclosure. I think sometimes we call that the Freudian slip. Oops, didn't mean to let that come out. The bottom side equals the relationship. This is how the sender relates to the receiver. Every message also says something about the relationship between the sender and the receiver, what they feel for each other, and how they are connected with each other. This side of the message is also expressed through tone of voice, gestures, and facial expressions, through nonverbal signals. This is, I think about the wink, right? If you've ever been in a conversation with 3 or more people and the person who's talking suddenly turns and winks at you, it's a nonverbal, and it denotes your relationship with them. The bottom side, no, we already talked about the bottom side. The fourth side equals appeal. This is what the sender wants to affect on the part of the receiver. A message normally is not sent without a reason or intention behind it. Generally, it is linked with a wish to influence the other person in some way. The sender expects not only that his or her message will be understood, but also that the recipient will react in some way and take some sort of action as a result. Here is an example from Friedemann Schultz von Thun that illustrates his model and shows how the sender is actually sending 4 simultaneous messages that the receiver is hearing. A front seat passenger in a car tells the driver, "Hey, driver, the traffic light is green." The driver may understand a different message depending on which of the 4 sides of communication he hears. The fact side, he could take the comment as a simple fact observation. The traffic light is green. The self-revelation side, the driver could take the comment to be a self-disclosure about the passenger. I am in a hurry. The relationship side, the driver could also perceive the comment as a concern for the driver. I want to help you navigate because there's a lot going on. And the appeal side, but the driver could also take the comment to be an appeal. Come on, drive! Because of these different sides, a message can be meant one way by the sender and understood another way by the receiver. This is often the reason for miscommunication with others. Connecting with someone else can be challenging. That's why communication has rightly been called a two-way process, because it involves the sharing and receiving of information. When communicating, we have to make sure that the message that was received was the same one we intended to give. We can't assume it was. To communicate most effectively, then, we need to think about communication from the receiver's perspective. Often it's not a lack of information that leads to poor communication, but the way our message was delivered and received. In most cases, we don't need to do more communication. We just need to do it better. I see we have Carly with us. I want to welcome you, Carly, and allow you to talk. Okay. So welcome, Carly, to our webinar. And when we get to debriefing, you can unmute yourself, Carly, or you can raise your hand if you need help with that, or I can unmute you. We're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm so glad you're here. So now we're going to move into module 3 of our training on Say It Here, the power of effective communication. So since communication is the one activity that we engage in the most during our lives, it's hard to accept that it could be a major problem, or worse, something that we need to, learn to do better. It's also hard to see the difference between communicating information to others and genuinely connecting with others, because connecting with others is what we really want when we're communicating. So now's a good time to pull out worksheet number 3 that was sent to you when you registered and printed out the worksheets. The challenge in connecting. All right. So now think of a time when you recently met someone and you really hit it off. You got along well. You felt connected to that person. So on your worksheet, briefly describe the situation and answer the questions that follow. And I'm just going to give you a minute to work on that. All right. And now let's move to the second part of that worksheet. Think of a time when you met someone that you didn't connect with and answer the questions that follow. And we'll take another minute or 2 for this next one. All right. So find a good stopping point. And when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and move to some debrief questions. And anyone can answer these. Just unmute yourself, or if you're having a problem unmuting yourself, you can let me know in the chat and I can support you to unmute. But so let's have a little bit of a conversation. What does it mean to really connect? Anybody have any thoughts about that? What does it mean to really connect?
I have a thought.
Okay.
This is Shelley.
Hey, Shelley.
I think that it's a matter of self-awareness versus self-consciousness. And so if you're self-aware, then you know what kind of vibe you're in. And then you're more able to sense what kind of vibe the other person is in. But if you're self-conscious, then you are just wondering what they're thinking of you and not even really paying attention and being nervous. You're not being yourself, and it's harder to connect that way.
Thank you. I love that perspective. Being self-aware as opposed to being self-conscious. And yeah, because when you're self-conscious, you're in your head, right? You're really, you're thinking about, what do they think about me? How, are they going to, are they going to respond to me well? And then you're distracted. Whereas if you're self-aware, then you know where you're at, and if you're, in the state to connect and actually be present and focused and listen, or if you're really not going to be able to. And, from that place of self-awareness, you can excuse yourself from a conversation, or just be honest about it. Like, whew, I'm not just really not in a space right now to chat, but let's, get together another time. That's really powerful. And it takes, it takes a certain level of self-awareness to cultivate that, but that's really powerful. And what gets in the way of people connecting at a meaningful level? Any thoughts about that? What gets in the way of people connecting at a meaningful level? Carly or Holly, any thoughts?
This is Holly. So I really like what Shelley said. I even wrote it down because it's very succinctly put. I just, fear can be where people want to actually, I keep thinking about social situations. So where you're talking about where maybe you would meet up with somebody and you would want to have a connection and they would want to have a connection because you're in a social situation to be able to do that. And I think what can get in the way is really that fear. If people are just, they say it's being shy, but it's just really being fearful. But one of the other things too is I dance Zumba, and it puts me in with, especially when I'm traveling, I'm in situations where we are all dancing together, and it can really get awkward, having conversations. But one of the other ones is when somebody they also want to have some sort of an interaction and a connection. But the other thing that will stop that is when you, like this is what Shelley was saying about what's your vibe and what's their vibe. When I want to connect and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
and they're maybe angry about it and maybe think that they have to. It's just not what they're there for.
Thank you. That's a really powerful observation. Right. Yeah. Some of the things that came up for me, like, and it ties right into that. It's really beautifully put. What's often present when the interaction is positive and I was able to connect with someone is my receptivity for that. If I'm in a fearful place, I'm shut down, I'm in my head. If I'm relaxed, if I have set aside time, I don't have a million things that I'm trying to do all at once, then it's, I'm in a conducive space. And even if the physical environment is not so conducive, then you can move to a physical space that's more conducive, that's a little more quiet, where you can actually hear and you can have that two-way street. And yeah, when in the second part of the worksheet, in situations that I wasn't able to connect, one of us or both of us were in a rush. We were distracted. We were in our heads. One of us or both of us were fearful. It was, just felt awkward on all levels, right? And we know that a communication is in the context of a relationship, right? You have some sort of relationship with the person that you're talking to. Even if they're a stranger, your relationship to them is as yourself and a stranger, right? But if I can't control what state that person is going to be in, but I can work on myself. I can work on my own receptivity and willingness, and to take the time to be curious, to find out what's going on. And I just love this last question on the worksheet. What can you do the next time you meet someone who you may not feel a connection with? And I wrote, take a deep breath, tune in, try to put myself in their shoes. And tune into myself. I mean, not just tune into them, but tune into myself. I mean, and because it could be that, like, my body is giving me an important sign that I shouldn't be talking to this person, right? So, honor that as well, right? Don't make it wrong. There's no wrong about it. It is gosh, well put, really well put. I love all of these comments. Carly, did you have anything that you wanted to add or ask? And I can unmute you, my friend. I'll go ahead and unmute you if you'd like to share something. Oh, I guess you'll have to do it on your side, Carly, if you want to say something. Scroll down to the bottom of your screen, and there's a toolbar that should pop up. And if you go all the way over to the right, there is a microphone, and you can click it to mute or unmute yourself. So I'll just give it a moment. If you had anything else you wanted to add.
Carly, on my screen, the microphone is all the way to the left on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, my other right, the left. Yes, it's on my left too. All right.
Hey, can I just say something before we move on to about, because this is what I'm working on. I have been so afraid of going out and socializing, like it really feels like when I'm traveling like this, I kept writing about bravery, being communication with other people, I have to be brave and open for it. So I just keep trying, and reaching out, because that's my work that I'm doing right now. But sometimes you just have to take the cues that people don't want you to talk to them.
Right.
And then, so I can be totally ready to try to communicate with somebody. But if I realize that maybe they're shy and feeling awkward, I can ask questions, or I'll ask different things to try to find something that we can have in common that we can talk about. But sometimes they just really don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel I really have strong feelings about that, when it's like when I'm taking a risk and they're like going, no, they're just no. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Or so.
And that's okay too, right? There's something to be said about just sitting in silence on that elevator, or sitting next to someone on a plane. If they're not
Yes.
into it, right? It's like, just take that in, and that's all good too.
Yeah, taking the verbal cues, where sometimes we've seen, like on television or something, when somebody takes somebody else hostage. It's not a conversation, it's a monologue.
Right. Oh, Carly has her hand up. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, she's okay. Let me more. I am really trying to unmute you, Carly.
What if you do the unmute all? Will that work?
Let me try it.
Hey, Shelly, why don't you try, since you can bring your cursor on here, to use your cursor to show it where it would be?
The problem is I can't see the screen that you guys are looking at, because I've got the slideshow on my screen.
Got the slide.
Oh, yeah, just put the cursor where that mic would be, down in the far corner, the far left bottom corner.
Yeah, somewhere down in here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all the way in the corner on the bottom of the screen. So Carly, I'm really trying to unmute you on my end.
Yeah, see if she can chat something too. Maybe she can talk.
Well, why don't if I'm going to promote you to a panelist, Carly, and maybe that'll give you a little more control. Here we go.
Well, I'm jealous now.
Make you all panelists. Why not? Okay. So you're all panelists now.
I'm wondering if Carly actually has a microphone plugged in.
I'd just like to thank you so much for my promotion.
Oh gosh. Yeah, Carly, if you don't have access to a microphone, there is a chat option. You can write your questions or your comments in the chat as well. I'm just really trying to include you in the best possible way. Okay. And I'll send something on chat. So
hey, Wendy?
Yeah.
I can't hear you anymore.
Did I mute my... Okay. Can you hear me now? Unmute all. I'm unmuting all. All participants are unmuted. So it is on your end, Carly. And this is the chat here. So that is another way you can type in questions. Really want you to be able to communicate in this worksheet. Okay, yeah, Shelley, can you, okay, so everybody can hear me now, right? I unmuted myself.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, well, Carly, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna trust that we'll be able to figure this out.
Okay. I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, somehow in that, all that promotion, I had muted myself.
We are the most professional people on the planet.
Oh God.
I love you, Wendy.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love us all. in this workshop on effective communication. All right, here we go. So moving on to module 4. So in the last little training, we explored the challenge in connecting by looking at a time when you connected with someone and a time that you didn't. So now your exploration continues as you assess your own skill at effectively communicating. Communication, which occupies approximately 70% of our waking hours, can feel frustrating at times depending on the topic, circumstance, or person you're communicating with. The fact is, most of us aren't aware of how to communicate in a way that produces desired results. So we continue to experience misunderstandings, resistance, and conflicts. To be a better communicator, it is important to be more aware of your communication strengths, styles, as well as those around you. So now we want to move to worksheet number 4, assessing your communication. So let's reflect on the questions listed on the worksheet. And for each question, decide whether you exhibit the communication behavior listed or whether it's an area to develop. And for this assessment, it's helpful to have in mind a recent important conversation you experienced. So I think I want to give, this is a really good assessment, and I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes so we can really take a look at this. And here we go. Working on worksheet number 4.
Wendy, I'm having technical difficulties. Once you made me a panelist, it took my bottom bar out, and I can't get to my sheets now.
Okay. I'm going to remove you as a panelist. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And I think she will have to rejoin us. That was the message I received. So removing her as a panelist means she'll have to rejoin the webinar. So I'm actually going to give us another minute on our timer. But let's go ahead and work on that, and she will rejoin us as soon as she can. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to bring us back. This might be a little challenging. I'm going to just take a moment and I'm going to send Holly the, oh, she sent 3 messages. Okay. Carly. Okay. So the Carly, the one message I got from you, it says, who is getting my messages? And I replied, I am, Carly, and you have sent 3 messages. So I've only seen the one. Oh, I'm so sorry about this. And when I removed Holly, she said she wasn't able to, it knocked her off. She wasn't able to get back on, but she just sent me a text. Oh, okay. She just sent me a picture. You're unable to join this meeting because you were previously removed by the host. Oh gosh. So let me see if I can just send her an alternate way to get on, like a phone number, and then we'll continue forward. But wow, we're learning a lot about communication, especially with Zoom, and what works and what doesn't. And I so appreciate your patience with the process. All right. Yes, Carly, yes. Why don't you call in? Why don't you call in with that number? Thank you, Carly. All right, and now we have another participant, another attendee. Oh, good. Here she is.
Oh,
Yes,
can you hear me?
you're back.
Oh my God, it's a miracle. Okay, so this is like, so I just want you to know if other people are calling in what it says to you. So I came in, this is the second time I've come into the meeting on the phone.
Yep.
And it says you are coming in as an attendee and you will be muted the entire time. And it doesn't matter if I mute or unmute. So there you go.
Okay. Oh, thank you for coming back. And Carly's going to be attempting to call in. So I'm going to keep my eye on who's here, on the participants, and allow her to talk when she comes back in. Okay, Carly, you can do that if you would like. You can drop, you can close out, and then call in on the number. And I will press a button to allow you to talk, if that's what you'd like to do. Thank you, everyone, for your patience with this process. All right. So there's, I want to just go ahead and we did the assessment, and based on your insights gained from this activity, and I know you might not have done this activity. Oh, we've got a chat. This is good. You pull up the chat. Can you, Holly, can you type the number that you used in the chat box for Carly?
Yes, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Wait a minute, I can't get to the chat box because I can't get online.
Right, because you're not online. Can you tell me what it is, and I'll type it in.
Yeah, hang on, let me get to that page. Okay. The number is 1-929-205-6099.
6099. Okay.
And then it's going to ask for this webinar ID, which is number 922-530 and 625.
Okay.
And then after she does this, it'll prompt her, tell her to push pound, but then it comes on and it says what I told you it says. You're an attendee and you'll be muted the entire time. Okay, I'm muting myself now.
Thank you. And then as soon as you join us, Carly, I will allow you to talk. Oh, there's another chat. Okay. Got it. Thank you, Carly. All right. Okay. So we've got some tips. If you want to be a better communicator, remember these truths. Vocal communication is using the power of your voice. Your words contribute 7% to the effectiveness of your message. That's less than 10% of the entire communication. Your voice, how you sound when you're speaking, contributes 38% to the effectiveness of your message. Visual communication is the subliminal message you are sending. Your body language, which is what you do and how you look when speaking, contributes 55%, over half, to the effectiveness of your message. Nonverbal communication is what people see when they are looking back at you. Be aware of what is being communicated with your eyes, face, posture, how you carry yourself, your stance, how you place yourself in relation to other people, gestures, expressions, body movement, and proximity to other people. You want your words, your voice, and your body language to work together to communicate your message successfully and accurately to others. And now we're going to be moving into the final part of our training. But before we do, I'd like to share something very special with you. If you want to get the right answers, all you have to do is ask the right questions. So the right questions are important. And I think the right questions are either or questions. Questions like, is this an act of faith or an act of fear? Because we know where we're coming from every day when we wake up and we make decisions that are based in trust rather than our most fearful self. A right question like, will this bring me long-term fulfillment or short-term gratification, will tell you exactly what you are doing in the moment. And then you can be certain, well, is this going to take me where I want to go? Or am I doing something that is going to keep me stuck exactly where I am? So if each day we wake up and ask ourselves certain right questions, we can be assured that we'll arrive at the destinations we long to go. If you're standing at a crossroads, I've listed questions from Debbie Ford's book, The Right Questions for You. And these questions may give you the perspective you need to make a choice that works well for you. So the right questions are, will this choice propel me toward an inspiring future, or will it keep me stuck in the past? Will this choice bring me long-term, I already said that one. Am I standing in my power? Or am I trying to please another? Am I looking for what's right, or am I looking for what's wrong? Will this choice add to my life force, or will it rob me of my energy? Will I use this situation as a catalyst to grow and evolve, or will I use it to beat myself up? Does this choice empower me, or does it disempower me? Is this an act of self-love, or is it an act of self-sabotage? Is this an act of faith, or is it an act of fear? Am I choosing from my divinity, or am I choosing from my humanity? These are revolutionary questions that, when answered with complete honesty, change the way we see ourselves and make decisions, and ultimately moving us towards the life we desire. And this is a book that changed my life, and I'm not exaggerating. It inspired me to train under Debbie Ford, change my life, change my trajectory, and become a master integrative life coach. The realities of the life we live today are the result of the choices that we made yesterday, 3 months ago, and 3 years ago. We don't wind up $50,000 in debt because of one extravagant purchase. Nor do we put on 30 unwanted pounds as a result of a couple of decadent meals. And our relationships certainly don't fall apart overnight because of one decision. We are where we are because of repeated unconscious choices made day after day. And if we want to understand why and how we created our present day reality, all we need to do is look at the choices we made in the past. Debbie Ford cuts right through our denial with the 10 questions that immediately reveal the true motivations behind our thoughts and actions. But more than that, by rigorously and honestly asking and answering these 10 vital questions, we regain control and have the power necessary to create the life we always wanted. Now, you can search and search, but you will not find an audio version of this book. So as a master integrative coach, personally trained by Debbie Ford and a graduate of the Ford Institute for Transformational Training, I have created an audiobook exclusively for members of my coaching community at the Way of Truth. It is only available until Black Friday, and it is only $17. So why not receive this powerful resource for free as my personal Thanksgiving gift to you for showing up to learn about the power of effective communication? Your commitment to your growth and transformation ought to be rewarded. So it's here. Easy, affordable, customized support to fuel your inner flame, guide you step by step, and reveal your path to a thriving life so you can stop self-sabotaging, playing small, and spinning your wheels. Now, you're a good worker, and I'm guessing that your ego gets a lot of praise for your work, but in order to take care of everyone else, your dreams and your passion have been put on the back burner. You long to break free from the hamster wheel and claim your calling, but you think you don't have the time or the money to change your course. Although you seek change, you're afraid to make a big mistake and not be able to recover from it. You have special gifts and talents to share with the world, but you don't know what to do or how to start. You've made big resolutions and commitments before, but you get overwhelmed and quit before you reach your goal. Now, if any of these resonate with you, then I have some pretty good news. You're in the right place, and you're definitely not alone. The Awakening Angels Journey is a monthly mentoring membership customized to meet you right where you are. Learn how to access your personalized guidance system. Receive a wealth of resources and opportunities. Engage in a supportive community to cheer you on. And you can cancel your membership anytime for any reason and keep all of your valuable transformational tools that you've gained in the time you were part of it. So let's talk about what's included in your membership. So your journey into awakening is supported by one monthly e-publication with relevant articles, exercises, resources, and announcements for upcoming opportunities. You have an annual 60-minute vision call with your personal life coach. You have access to 2 30-minute laser coaching calls per month as you need with your personal coach to support your self-accountability towards your goals. And these calls keep you on track with your courses and support your coach to customize your courses just for you. You have access to 2 monthly group calls. You can join with Awakening Angels all around the country in synchronized intention setting processes and powerful online workshops, just like this one. You have unlimited access to customized do-it-yourself home study courses, beginning with your Best Year Ever training course. That's a 16-module course. It's 52 weeks of the Self-Love Bank. And new customized courses are uploaded every month just for you. And you also have just-in-time coaching via your private secured client log. You can ask questions, receive feedback and support just in time via your private email log. So why is this an ideal mentoring membership for you? Well, the Awakening Angels Journey is perfect for busy working parents and grandparents, for career professionals who aren't ready to hire a one-on-one business coach or life coach, but need a source of inspiration and guidance that fits their schedules and their budget. It is an affordable, flexible, customizable. Again, you can cancel at any time for any reason. Keep all of your tools. You get to choose your home study courses that support your unique goals and complete them on your own timeline. and schedule your 2 30-minute mentoring calls as needed. An inspiring community awaits you on the monthly group training calls. You don't have to attend live. You can automatically receive a recording plus follow-up exercises to fuel your inner flame. And through your private coaching portal, you can access your coach just in time. Your coach prompts you to show up and follow through on the programs you've chosen to support you in reaching your goals. This Awakening Angels journey equips you with the transformational tools for sacred success, leading you to the next phase, the Thriving Angels journey. And now you may be wondering how much this is going to cost you. For a recurring monthly payment of just $47, you receive access to your private coaching portal and customized support, and a life-changing shift in perspective when it comes to creating the life of your dreams. And that's less than you would spend on a date night or a few tickets to a sporting event. And you're receiving the tools that you need to make a mindset shift that has the potential to change your life as you step outside of your comfort zone and reach your full potential. And plus, I'm going to reduce your risk of investment by offering you a trial month membership for just $17. Try out all the services available in your first month of your Awakening Angels journey. If it is not worth every single penny, simply cancel your membership. Your journey is designed to adjust and adapt to where you are, to grow with you, and to challenge and support you and keep you engaged and expanding to your next level of greatness. After your first trial month at $17, your membership will continue at the $47 a month rate until such time as you cancel your membership. And when you take advantage of the Black Friday special, when you enroll in your $17 trial month by $1129.19, you'll also receive the Right Questions audiobook narrated by yours truly, absolutely free as part of your easy, affordable purchase. So just go to thewayofTruth.live/right questions right after the training and get yourself signed up for the transformational journey of a lifetime. It is the Awakening Angels journey, and it was created just for you. All right, thank you so much. Now let's get back to our training. Module 5, the messages we receive. Now, you have covered a lot so far in this program by exploring the 4 sides of communication, discovering how challenging yet important it is to connect, and assessing your communication skills. And in the remainder of this training, you will look at the other side of communication, the messages you receive. When asked to define communication, most people describe the techniques used to express what they think and feel. However, listening is more important than speaking in communication. To improve your communication, good listening skills must be a key part of your communication strategy. So now, put down your pen, sit back in your chair, and get comfortable. For the next minute, close your eyes and listen to your surroundings, noticing the sounds you hear in silence. And I'm starting a minute timer right now. All right, and let's come back and have some debrief questions. So what did you hear in the silence of your surroundings?
This is Carly. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's so good to hear your voice, Carly.
Hi, Wendy. I heard the tinnitus in my ears and some kind of maybe distant motor outside or machine running outside somewhere. But it's really very quiet here.
Mm.
I could also hear my breathing. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. And anyone else, what did we hear in the silence?
This is Holly. So I'm on Maui right now, and a storm is a brewing. I'm sitting looking out the window. It's raining, and the wind is really whipping the trees out. So I can hear that. And then there's still people running around. So there's people talking in our place, and then outside the window, that's going on too. I can hear a little bit of a fan going as well. So, but it's the thing I'm enjoying the most is the wind whipping through the trees. It's howling a little bit.
Wow. What internal disposition do we need to have in order to truly hear what's going on around us?
Being present.
Being present. Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking how quickly my mind wants to listen to my thoughts when there's silence. And I think that's it's like a common thing, like people sometimes get uncomfortable with silence. So for me, like the internal disposition that I need to have in order to truly hear what's going on around me is my willingness to focus my attention on what's being said, or what sounds are around me, and it's not to make my thoughts wrong, but just it's like a conscious shifting my attention to what's actually going on around me, as opposed to what's going on inside my mind or my imagination. So with that, what do you think? What does it take to truly listen?
I'm going with willingness. It takes willingness.
Willingness. That was the exact word that was coming up for me too, Holly. It takes a willingness to tune out my own thoughts and really, really try to hear what is being said to me. And I work on reflective listening, like trying to capture what is being said to the point that I could repeat it back to someone. I could paraphrase it back to them. Like, so what I think I hear you say is blah, 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 blah. And that was actually a communication technique I learned from a therapist when I was, we were actually working on some couples counseling in my previous marriage. And that technique of being willing to really hear what was being said and then to reflect it back for clarification. So what I think I hear you say is, you get frustrated when I don't pick up my socks. Did I hear that correctly? Because if I'm in my mind, I might hear that same thing. Someone might say, I'm frustrated with you when you don't pick up your socks. And I would hear something different. I would hear the thoughts in my head, like, you know, I'm not good enough, or, you know, those shadow beliefs, right? There's so, you know, it takes that willingness. It's a great word, the willingness to tune in and actually hear what someone is communicating. Did you have any other thoughts, Carly, about what it takes to truly listen?
I think for me, it means stopping and taking time.
Yeah.
To focus on only one thing, because I tend to be, you know, have 3 or 4 balls in the air at the same time and listen with half my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would have to just stop everything and interact with the person.
Great. Yeah, I think we're all recognizing that listening, you know, it seems quite passive and easy, but we all know it takes discipline and focus to be a good listener.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think that they're being good listeners and that they hear everything people tell them, but are these people really listening when they hear what people are telling them? Do they really comprehend what is behind the words being expressed? When it comes to listening, the way we listen determines what we hear. Listening is an in-the-moment skill that only the very best possess because they practice. This means that all of us have the capability of being good listeners. We just need to work at it. So next we're gonna evaluate our listening skills. So now we're in module 6, measuring our listening. And in this module, your learning continues as you take a quiz to assess your current listening skills. When communicating, it's important to follow up to be certain that you've connected when speaking with someone else. With communication, you're not just delivering a message, but often you are receiving a message as well. So how do you connect when you are receiving information from someone else, when you are the listener during communication? So now's a good time to take out worksheet number 5, the listening quiz. So we're going to take a short quiz that will help you examine your listening skills. Answer usually, sometimes, or seldom to each question. And I think I'm going to set the timer for 3 minutes so that we can work on this. Here we go. And then score your results using the formula at the bottom of the quiz sheet. On questions 1 through 7, give yourself 10 points for each answer of usually, 5 points for each answer of sometimes, and 0 points for each answer of seldom. And on questions 8, 9, and 10, give yourself 10 points for each answer of seldom, 5 points for each answer of sometimes, and 0 points for each answer of usually. And then total and finalize the score. 90 plus points, you're listening effectively. 75 to 89 points, you're doing well, but there are areas that could be developed. 74 or less, there are considerable opportunities to work on listening skills. All right, let's open it up for some sharing. What did you learn about your listening skills from this assessment? I'll share. I recognize, I think of myself as a really good listener. Like, it's important to me. It's important to my work. But I'm in that middle range. I'm doing well, but there are areas that could be developed. One of them that I clicked sometimes was on determine my own biases, if any, and try to allow for them. I don't think I consciously do that. I think, maybe I do sometimes, but I just need to raise my awareness about that and check in with myself. Am I aware of my biases? Am I allowing for my biases in this situation? Same thing on 6, keep my mind on what the speaker is saying. I did put sometimes, because I gotta be honest, there are moments when I'm multitasking and I'm trying to do something and somebody's trying to ask me a question and I am clearly not fully present with that person. That is what is. I don't make myself wrong for that, but I also I want to raise my awareness to that. Someone's trying to ask me a question, I'm not fully present, and see if I can, just like even raising my awareness to that, checking in, can I stop? Can I take a breath right now and be really present with them? Or do I need to communicate with them that this is not a good time for me to hear what they're saying? Could they leave me a note? And that is something that I could work on. Just really being honest with myself and communicating authentically there. And number 7, make a conscious effort to evaluate the logic and credibility of what I hear. And again, I think that is a moment by moment thing, right? Do I make a conscious effort to, check in with that? Or am I being triggered by it? Or do I go into a defensive mode? Like if it's not sounding logical or credible to me, do I just try to get out of the conversation or deflect it or pass it on to someone else? Or do I stop and, ask a question immediately? Now, wait a minute. Can you tell me more about that? Can you clarify that for me a little bit more so I can understand it a little better? So I definitely see that there's room and improvement, and I'm grateful that I took this listening quiz. So I see a lot of room for improvement there for myself. Any other, so Holly or Carly or Shelley, any thoughts? What came up for you out of this listening quiz?
This is Shelley. I was noticing some of the same things you were noticing, Wendy. And actually, while I was doing it, I was thinking about the difference between when I'm coaching someone and when I'm interacting with my family, for instance. And that score varied widely. And it made me realize that I'm not as present with my family as I could be. Because, you know, when you're one-on-one with a client, you're obviously completely present. But when you're with family, there can be a big gap there.
That's a powerful insight, and we don't mean for that to happen, right? But we do. We get kind of, you know, in our heads or over busy, or we don't afford it the same weight as we would in a client coaching situation, where it's like we have delegated this 60 minutes and it's our job to be like tuned in and really listening to this person. It's a powerful, powerful insight. Thank you so much. Any other thoughts?
This is Carly, Wendy, and I am in Texas, Padre Island, and I have been gone for a week, and I didn't have the worksheets to work on, so I'm interested in the comments, but I didn't take the test.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. The nice thing is this recording and the the worksheets, they'll be accessible to you when you get home. You can do this at your own leisure. But I appreciate
yes, I plan to. Yeah.
The way we listen.
Yeah, this is.
Go ahead, Holly.
This is Holly. Yeah, so the questions can be a little disturbing. Tomorrow I'll be married 30 years, and my husband and I, we're together a lot, and I won't even notice sometimes. He's talking away to me, and I have drifted off. And what's really great is I've gotten so good at, once I realize that has happened, it's embarrassing when it happens, when you realize somebody has been talking to you and maybe telling you something that's really important to them and you weren't even there. And so the only thing that you can do, or that I can do at that point, is cop to it, because if I don't admit that I drifted off, I'm just going to start it's like when people start trying to quiz you a little bit to figure out what you were talking about, and you realize they weren't listening to you. So I will now, when I realize that I've drifted off, I will actually tell him where I left. You know, you had me like up to this point, and so that's merit, you know, and it's like, and you're not getting paid for it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not getting paid for it. But I thought one of the interesting things in this was, number 5, determining my own biases, and if any, try to allow for them. And it's like, when I'm listening, I'm trying to listen with my whole heart and to really hear what the person is saying to me, not judge what the person is saying to me. And this is like when we're talking about, like in life coaching, or in our relationships where we're really sharing feelings. I'm not usually evaluating them, or I'm just trying to hear what the other person is saying and let them know that I really heard it. So some of these things I do really good on, but I didn't particularly like question 7, which was make a conscious effort to evaluate the logic and credibility of what I hear, because most of the time I mean, that question just kind of makes me a little mad because
Yeah.
it's like, listen, if I'm listening to people's feelings, I don't want to be evaluating it or any of that sort of thing. But I have to tell you just this funny little thing that I was with a girlfriend of mine who is, doesn't believe, evidently, I didn't know this, she doesn't believe in global warming. And I am on the west side of Maui where it is eroding, and there's all kinds of resorts, the road itself, that as the sea level is rising, and it's actually taking the land away. So it's here, and I was talking about that, and she made a statement about, it's going to be so funny in 20 years when all the people who didn't listen to this stuff about global warming and they kept all of their waterfront property, they're just going to be feeling so good when we end up finding out that it's not real. This is basically what she said to me. And so, Wendy, when you were talking, there was no way that I could, I actually thought, should I ask her if what she's really saying to me is, I mean, you really don't believe, you think they're making this whole thing up? And I thought, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So you couldn't get me to touch that conversation with a 10-foot pole, and I went on to something else. And it was honest, I was just too afraid that if I asked a question about it, that at that point I would be too biased. And so it was, I actually said, because I decided at that point that I was definitely knew more about what was going on in the world than she did. And I just said, reading National Geographic can be a really wonderful way to see what's going on with people in the world. And then I left it at that.
Okay. So you left a helpful suggestion and moved on. Yeah, sometimes you just got to gauge the situation, and it's like, how open are they to hearing an alternative perspective, and trust your judgment around that. But yeah, that's a great example of having that message in your pocket to close a conversation or to move to the next point, something else. Really, it's a wonderful exploration around this whole thing, around communication. And the way we listen determines what we hear. Listening requires focus. It means paying attention to the other person in spite of distractions that are happening both externally and internally. So next, I want to share a simple tool that you can use to remind yourself to listen with your full attention, to clarify your understanding, and to always listen with respect. It's called listening with care. So in the last module, you assessed your listening skills. In this module, you will improve your skills by listening with care, C-A-R-E. If you listen with care, it means you listen with the purpose of trying to understand the meaning of the message, which means you are fully engaged in the communication process. So if you have worksheets, pull out worksheet number 6. Carly, if you have paper and pen, write down C-A-R-E means, and you can write down along the left side of your paper a big C, a big A, a big R, a big E.
Okay.
In order to listen effectively, you have to care about those you are listening to. This means you concentrate. Make an effort to focus your attention only on the speaker and avoid any distractions. Concentrate. The A is for acknowledge. Through body language and verbal cues. This includes leaning into the conversation, nodding your head, smiling when appropriate, saying uh-huh, etc. This assures the other person you are engaged in the communication process. R stands for respond. Ask questions for clarification and to express interest in the other person. Paraphrase back what you are hearing. It's that reflective listening. Respond. And E is for empathize. Share in the emotions and feelings of the other person. Empathy means you understand and can put yourself in their shoes. So the next time you are involved in an important conversation, stop, take a breath, pause the chatter in your mind, and start really listening. Remember, care, concentrate, acknowledge, respond, empathize. It's amazing what you will discover. And remember what we said earlier, everyone wants to and has a need to connect through communication, especially with listening. We all want to be heard. If you keep this in mind, it will be easier for you to make a concerted effort to listen to others rather than focusing primarily on your own agenda or thoughts. So now, in the final module 8, we're going to lock it in. So I just want to open it up for some conversations, for some final debrief questions. Take a minute or two just to review your notes and the worksheets and write down 3 key points that resonated with you most. And then when you found your 3 key points, what techniques will you practice going forward to better communicate your message and ensure that it has been received? What techniques will you practice going forward to better communicate your message and ensure that it's been received? And what techniques will you practice to ensure you are truly listening to others and understanding what is meant to be communicated? And I'll share what I wrote down, and I open it up for any final sharing, just to lock this all in. You know, the 3 key points that resonated with me most, Shelley kind of, she coined it right at the beginning. Being self-aware versus being self-conscious. I wrote that down. That's a big takeaway. The stopping, right? Stopping, take a breath. Thank you, Carly. I got that from you. Listening with care. I mean, I think, you know, if I can remember this acronym, it's pretty simple. It can support me to focus in and let people know. Thank you, Holly. I learned this from you. Let people know. Cop to when I've drifted off, right? You are developing a relationship through your communication, and you know, if I can if I can admit to that person that I'm, you know, creating relationship with through conversation, that I've drifted off, right? It's that level of honesty can be bonding, you know, right? Because we all have that, right? We're not alone. So I really appreciated those three key points. And I'm going to practice the technique of follow-up, you know, asking clarifying questions to better communicate that my message was received, like, you know, asking, did that make sense to you? Did you, you know, or do you have any questions about what I just shared, right? And so, and I try to do that. I like to close conversations by making sure that everyone has, you know, has asked or shared anything that's not quite complete. And the technique that I'm going to practice to ensure that I'm truly listening is to ask clarifying questions, to make sure that I can really repeat back what they said to me and be on the same page with it. So yeah, what are your final thoughts, Carly or Holly or Shelley, about this, about the three key points that resonated with you most, or the techniques that you're going to implement?
Okay, well, this is Holly. So in all the glitches that were going on, sheet number 4, or worksheet number 4, I had started to go through it when all that was happening,
Right.
and then I had to try to get back on. But it was really interesting because then in the silence of me being here and I couldn't do anything, I really got quiet and zeroed into the questions. And when I gave myself a little bit more time, I found I was automatically answering them in the beginning, and then I was really able to get more honest. Like sometimes I get fearful when I'm being asked questions. It's like all the quizzes in the magazines, and I'm trying to guess what the right answer is so I come out in the right percentage. You know, like, am I the best lover in the world or whatever that is? It's like I want a high score, so I'm just like going, oh yeah, you know. What would somebody who is the best lover in the world, how would they answer this question? Oh my God. So anyway, that I'm going to go back and look at again, because what it was really interesting was that when I'm asking something of somebody, I tend to add so many words in instead of just putting it out there and asking while communicating, this is what it is that I want. So that was really interesting to me. And I am a pretty because of being in 12-step programs, that it, you know, to be able to do that meeting after meeting after meeting, means sometimes I'll actually be sitting with my eyes closed. So I'm really listening to what each person is saying to me. But I think that I'm actually better at that. I talk a lot. I mean, I can talk a lot. Wendy knows that. But I think I'm actually better at listening than I am at talking for communication. Like, I think I am, it's easier for me to hear what other people are saying than to communicate what it is that I'm saying. So I just one of the things I put is I need to be briefer in my words, because also we didn't touch on this that I heard, but where we're in this era of texting where people want to do everything with one line. And it can be through text where they don't even want to talk on the phone. They just want to do it short and sweet. And that can be difficult for me. And then one other thing that we didn't touch on is the thing with the box, of seeing, I go, oh yeah, that we do. We're reading people's body languages. When they're talking, we're taking in a lot of different information. Because they're asking, like, they want us to maybe influence a certain way, or the way they want things to go in the conversation. And I'm I'm an accommodating person. Most of the time I'm trying to give everybody what they want around me. So that was interesting to see that. And the one thing I thought of at the very beginning when we were doing that box is I sometimes get so crazy, because if you're dealing with people that are not telling the truth, like we're sort of in everything that we've been talking about, we're coming from the assumption that people are actually being truthful about what's going on. And it gets really crazy when you, for me, when what it is that I'm seeing as they're exposing themselves, even though they don't know that they're exposing themselves, and it doesn't match up at all with what they're saying. So it's all great stuff, and I'm probably going to spend a little more time on the fourth worksheet. That's
awesome. It. Thank you, Holly. Carly, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I really think I'll probably get into that Debbie Ford book, because I've read The Shadow, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Dark Side of the Light series was the name of it. And I really worked on that book. But the either or questions make a lot of sense to me for myself, if not even for somebody else. What is my motive, and why am I doing this? Because so much of it's, like you said, when I first came on, about we're so used to taking care of other people that we forget to stop and say, now, how do we take care of ourselves? So I want to do that. And it really stuck with me when you said all of us want to be heard. Of course we do, but I don't think about that when I'm rushing through my day.
Right.
This person deserves to be heard, or else, like you say, I never think of saying, I'm sorry, but I can't do that now. And I hope I'll use that when it comes up. I'd like to talk about that, but I don't think I can do it right now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Can we talk another time when I can really be present? Yeah. That's a respectful and loving thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then the reflective questions are going to be, is this what you're actually saying? This is what I'm hearing, that kind of thing. It can be helpful.
Thank you so much. And Shelley, did you have anything that you wanted to add in conclusion?
I think you guys got it covered. The biggest revelation to me, like I said, was the fact of how I listen so much less attentively to my family and people like that. And I'm going to definitely start working on that.
Wow. Really, we come away with some powerful insights here. So I want to say thank you to you to you all for your participation tonight. We have a toolbox full of ways to communicate our messages and ensure that others receive our messages that we're desiring to send, and ensure that we're truly hearing others. And when we continue to work on this, we'll experience better communication and healthier relationships and a greater happiness. So thank you all. This concludes our webinar for this evening. And I just want to reiterate the offer real quick. If you get signed up by Black Friday, I will get that audio book sent over to you. And if you choose to do the Awakening Angels membership, those are all of the services that are provided in that membership. It's a $17 trial month and $47 recurring, and you can cancel anytime for any reason. It's been a true joy to be with you ladies tonight. I'm going to let you go to drift off to a wonderful sleep, and I look forward to connecting with all of you one-on-one as soon as we can. Lots of love. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Shelly.
Aloha.
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 Happy anniversary, Holly.
Yes, happy anniversary.